This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to lockdown coverage, week number 2 in the National Football League. The Oakland Raiders taking on the New York Jets. This one got ugly quick in the second half, and the Jets made one critical mistake after another, and it was similar to the Jacksonville, Tennessee game where you looked up and this score was like 14-10 and the Jets were in the ball game and you're like, wow, the Jets are hanging tough. And they made one mistake and it's like the floodgates just opened. And the next time you looked up, it was 42-14. And you're like, wow, when the hell did that happen? And yikes. That's what happens to bad teams. Unfortunately, that's what happens to bad teams. They can't afford to make those types of mistakes against good football teams. When they do, the floodgates open and you get blown out. And so this isn't going to be a long breakdown, a long, thorough, in-depth breakdown. I mean, the score was 45-20. I mean, there's not much I need to discuss here. I'll quickly get into this, though. But if you haven't already subscribed to the Louie T Network, go ahead and do that. We're changing the game over here, and I want to have everyone be a part of this movement here that we're creating on the Louie T Network. And the best way to have you do that is to subscribe to the channel. I'm also on Twitter, @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle, so go ahead. Follow me on Twitter as well. If you want your comment read at the end of this breakdown, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read once I am done here. I'll say this about the Raiders. This is going to be a fun matchup with the Redskins and the Raiders on Monday Night Football. I feel like the Raiders haven't really been tested yet, even though the Titans, I think, are a good football team. And I thought that was a quality win on the road there in week 1. I didn't feel like the Titans pushed the Raiders to their limits quite yet. I feel like everybody in this division, the AFC West, has been pushed to their limits at some point in this young season already. Chiefs were pushed by the Philadelphia Eagles in week 2. The Chargers, they lost twice already, so obviously they've been pushed to their limits. The Broncos were pushed by the Chargers in week 1. I don't feel like the Raiders have been pushed yet, though. And I think they may have an opportunity to be pushed on Monday night. We'll see. They may go out and they may destroy the Redskins, much like they did the Jets in this game. And let's talk about this game quickly. I felt like the Raiders offensively, they were okay early in this game. It wasn't until the second half where they really, I thought, ratcheted it up. Derek Carr is just extremely sharp right now. I will say that. Regardless of what I think about their running game right now, I'm not overly impressed with their running game. Marshawn Lynch is a nice addition, and it's fun to say beast mode and all that. He hasn't really done anything, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a mindset, it's a mentality that he brings to the table. I think that changes things for the Raiders, but he hasn't had a 22 carry, 120 yard, 3 touchdown game yet. I mean, that's coming at some point, I believe, but it hasn't happened yet. I mean, his impact really hasn't been felt, but their ability to run the football, that's the thing I've been impressed with this season thus far. I told you that last week. Their ability to grind out the clock in their 4-minute offense in week 1 versus the Titans was the most impressive thing I saw from them in that particular game. Their ability to run the football with different running backs, different guys out of different sets, to hand the football off to Cordero Patterson on a 3rd and 1 and have him run for about 40 yards and a touchdown, that's impressive. To toss the ball out of shotgun to Jalen Richard and have him take off for a 45-yard touchdown run, 50-yard touchdown run. That's impressive. To have Marshawn Lynch score, that's impressive. To have 3 different guys touch the rock and score from the running back position is impressive. And they've, to me, been impressive as a running team, a rushing team collectively. Not one guy in particular has knocked my socks off, but that's what the good teams in this league do. They can run the football with just about anybody, and that's what the Raiders are doing right now. So the addition of Marshawn Lynch hasn't necessarily gotten me excited about Raiders rushing attack, but the ability for anybody, Washington, Richard, Patterson, Lynch, for anybody to get their hands on the rock and hurt you, that is impressive by the Raiders right now. Derek Carr is outstanding. Krabs has been tremendous. He was outstanding in this game. 3 touchdown grabs, just destroying the Jets secondary. Cooper has been relatively quiet. He did have the touchdown last week where he drug, it seemed like, half of the Titans team into the end zone. But this game was more about Krabs and his dominance in the past game, and Carr and him only incompleting 5 passes. I mean, he was just razor sharp. Took what the Jets defensively gave him, and I thought he did some really good things in the football game. And for that, I'm really looking forward to seeing these guys on Sunday night next week, because Derek Carr hasn't even been close to making a mistake in this young season thus far. He's been pretty accurate. He's been pretty calm and cool and collected under pressure. This Raiders team right now, just, I'm not going to lie to you, they seem like they have it on cruise control. And I think some of it has to do with the level of competition. And I feel like I'm downplaying the Titans win, and I don't want to, because I think the Titans are a good football team, and I think the Raiders just went in and handled them. It feels like the Raiders are making it look easy. And I guess the reason they're making it look a lot easier is because they're a better defensive team. Let's get to the defense. They still have deficiencies defensively. You can run the football on them, but they've improved their rush defense. I was impressed with the fact that they basically held the Titans to next to nothing in that game. And Matt Forte had a run or 2 in this game, but for the most part, they didn't give up much of anything on the ground in this game. I think where you really can attack the Raiders is through the air. And I think if you want to run the football on the Raiders, good luck. You may have success, but most likely you won't. They have a lot of guys up front that I think are difference makers that they didn't have a year ago. Vanderdoes. They've got a healthy Edwards Jr., Trayvon Hester. Jelly Ellis is playing at a really high level right now. Obviously, Khalil Mack is a guy you just don't even want to try in the run game. For what? You might as well run the Bruce Irvin side and take your chances that way. The linebackers seem to be much more active. The Lee kid out of Wake Forest seems to be a quality linebacker right now. We'll see as the season progresses if he's still playing at this level. I've been really impressed with the kid you got out of Colorado State, Corey James. He's really been active this year, especially in the run game. So I think you're going to find it tough to run on the Raiders as constructed right now. But I think you can throw on the Raiders. I haven't been impressed with their pass rush. Obviously, Khalil Mack is a guy you got to pay attention to. If you can keep him blocked, I think you can have time in the pocket to deliver the football. I was impressed with what Josh McCown was able to do and the success that Jermaine Kearse had in this game. I think you can throw the football on the Raiders, but make no mistake about it. They do have a talented secondary. They're starting to blitz the young safety out of West Virginia now a ton. Carl Joseph, he had a forced fumble, and that was a thing of beauty. The Jets quarterback, Josh McCown, never saw it coming. They were ultra aggressive in this game. I think that might have been more of a lack of respect for the Jets offensively than anything else. Or maybe they just feel like they need to blitz to create pressure on a consistent basis. But they were hitting home. They were getting after McCown. There were times where McCown was able to tuck it and run and pick up some yardage. Conley made a great play down the sideline. So they're getting better. The young players are getting better. They're acclimating themselves to the speed of the game and what it's going to take for them to perform at a high level. We're going to see. I just feel like the Raiders have no cruise control right now. And it's almost like I don't believe what I'm seeing because this Raiders team is performing at such a high level right now. It's just looked easy the first 2 weeks, too easy, and I think that it's for me, it's not indicative of what they're going to face in their division. Their division is ridiculously tough. I'd argue they have the best division in all of football. There's really no argument to be made right now. They are the best division statistically in football right now. Every team in the division is 2-0 with the exception of the Chargers. So this is a division where it's going to come down to the wire, and I'm anxious to see how the Raiders fare in the division because right now they just got it on cruise control. And they've been exceptional in every facet of the game to start the season off. Even Tavecchio, your kicker, has been lights out. I mean, this guy's kicking them from 52 and making it look easy, man. The Raiders, right now, they're playing at a very, very high level. And watching them execute is impressive. Watching Derek Carr execute. I mean, the fades that he's throwing to Krabs in the end zone. I mean, come on, man. Like, Derek Carr's got it on cruise control right now. This Raiders football team has it on cruise control right now. They're playing it. I will say this. This is the one thing that I think they need to clean up, the penalties. They had way too many personal foul and just stupid ticky-tack dumb penalties in this game that against a better opponent could have really hurt them in this game. Too many stupid penalties that are very avoidable. Just taunting and dumb stuff that there's no need for it. They can clean that stuff up. They need to be more disciplined. Other than that, I thought this was a fabulous performance. They let the Jets hang in a little bit too long, but in any event, when they decided time was up, and we'll get to that point when I get to the Jets here in a second, they put their foot on the gas and they never looked back in this football game and put up 45. I mean, literally, they got to 42 in a blink of an eye. If you weren't paying attention, and I was so heavily invested in the Redskins game, I looked at the score like, wow, Jets hanging in there, 14 to 10. And then the next time I saw the score, it was 42 to like 13. And so that thing got out of control quickly. But in any event, quickly to talk about the Jets. Look, this is what the Jets are. They're not a good football team. They're going to battle for as long as they can. But if they're playing against a team that they're overmatched by, this is going to be the result. They're just not a good enough football team. End of discussion. And so you can't afford to have the game-changing play that occurred in this game happen if you're going to try to win games this year if you're the Jets. And really the game-changing play was the fumble by your punt returner. And I know it's a young guy in the sun trying to make a play, but if you can't see the ball, if you think you're going to misplay it, let it go. He tries to catch it. It bounces off his chest plate, and it's recovered by the Raiders at the 4-yard line. And that score was 14 to 10. As you're getting close to the halftime break, if you can get to halftime at 14 to 10, you get the ball after the half. No telling what happens in this game. Instead, you fumble that ball. The Raiders recover it at the 4. They score a touchdown there, make it 21. They come out after halftime, and they just go berserk on the Jets. They start running the football like their mind is going bad. You get the Patterson run for a touchdown. You get the Richard run for a touchdown. You get another Krabs touchdown on a little speed out in the end zone. And next thing you know, this thing is 42 to 13. I mean, it got ugly in a hurry into Oakland. And bottom line is you can't make those type of mistakes. You're not a good enough football team. And you didn't even turn it over in this game offensively. You know, this team hasn't been extremely careless with the football. You're just not good enough. And defensively, where you're supposed to hang your hat, you're just not good enough. I mean, the Raiders ran the football down your throat in this game. And they did it in a number of different ways. I mean, Washington came in and gave you a little dosage. You saw what Jalen Richard was able to do on the toss for a touchdown. Cordero Patterson gets you on a 3rd and 1 for 40 and a touchdown. Marshawn Lynch gave you a little, change of pace. You couldn't stop anybody on the ground. And when it came time to stop them in the air, Carr just threw it up to Crabtree and you had no answer. So this team is in trouble. Like I said, they're going to be the last team probably in this league, outside of beating someone in the division. They're going to be the last team in the league to win a game. I firmly believe that. If they win a game this season, it would not shock me in the least if they didn't. I don't think this team's bad enough to not win a game, but they're going to get beat most weeks just because they don't have enough. They don't have enough, and I feel bad for Todd Bowles. because he's probably going to get fired, and he may not make it to the end of the season. It's going to be that bad for the Jets this season. There's not a lot of hope right now for this Jets football team. The worst part is you don't even have a quarterback of the future on your roster. And it seems like you've been looking for the last 5 to 7 years after Sanchez didn't work out, after Dirty Chez exited stage left. You would have thought that this team would have found someone, or at least someone that they could have had hope in by now. I don't think Hack is that guy. I don't think anybody on the roster is that guy for that matter. I just think right now they're lost. They're in the wilderness right now. This Jets organization is lost. And until they find a guy at the quarterback position and add more talent everywhere, I mean, even at running back, Forte, even on a good team, Matt Forte is only serviceable at this point of his career. Bilal Powell, I like Bilal Powell. He's not a starter in this league. And the young kid you got on the roster right now, I wasn't in love with him when you drafted him. So I don't love your running back position. The fact that you had to trade for Jermaine Kearse and he's the best you got tells me all I need to know about your receiving position. There's just not a lot to like about this Jets roster, to be honest with you. And defensively, where you actually do have some talent, it's all young stuff, so they're still trying to figure things out on the fly, and that's why you're giving up big chunk plays defensively. So you can't even hang your hat on that side of the football, which is supposed to be your trademark in New York. It's all bad in New York right now, and it's going to get worse before it gets any better, unfortunately, for the Jets. Let's get to any comments. I know Monday Night Football has started, so I'm going to get out of here and allow you guys to enjoy the game, and I'll enjoy the game as well, and then I'll probably come back at halftime and quickly wrap up the Seattle Seahawks and San Francisco 49ers game as well. Do W2 Elite Atlas says, you planning on going into the Giants-Detroit game after this or continuing with lockdowns? I'm not gonna go live while the game is on. I'm only doing this just so I can knock out this one and then only have one left, which would be Seattle and San Francisco. But I won't be doing that game live. I'm going to do the overtime after that game has met its conclusion, but we'll see. Cloud says the AFC West is a tough division. It's the best division in all of football, and it's not even close. That division is loaded top to bottom. Even the 0-2 Chargers are a tough out. I mean, they lost both of their games by a field goal or less. So, I mean, even they aren't a team that you would consider a doormat team where, yeah, we at least going to stack up some wins against the Chargers. And someone's going to, in that division, if not multiple teams are going to get beat by the Chargers this season. That's the type of division it is. Bernard543 says, hey, Louie, great team win for the Raiders. Conley held his own. Yeah, I've always liked Conley. Garyon Conley was one of my favorite corners at Ohio State. I told you that I love the fact that he suffered from the other corner syndrome coming into the league. And he's performing like a guy that's hungry, that's looking to stake his claim in this league. And I like that. I like that a lot. Corey Fitterman says, I don't know if you've watched a few college games, but I've noticed a few schools using hybrid DBs where they line up as free safeties, inside linebackers, outside linebackers. Do you see that becoming a staple in the NFL? The NFL is always looking to get faster inside, outside. You saw the Nitro package last night for the Packers where they substituted a linebacker in like their nickel package set for a safety and put another safety on the field. You're going to see teams experimenting with things like this. The only problem you run into when you get into situations like that is if the team decides, okay, you want to replace one of your linebackers with a safety, we're going to run the football. And if one of those linemen get up to the second level and get their hands on that safety, you're going to get him wiped out. To me, it's the same difference as undersized linebackers. I mean, you're just looking for more speed. That's it. More athleticism to run with these guys. The league is getting bigger, stronger, faster. As we all know, every single year, teams are looking for creative ways to get faster athletes onto the field defensively. And so teams will experiment with anything that they can. You can get away with it more so at the collegiate level just because the better athletes usually win in college football. It doesn't matter where you put guys. If they're the best athletes, they're going to win. That's why the better teams win in college football. You get to the NFL, everyone's an athlete. The question is to what extent. And it's all about game planning and scheming at that point to separate yourself. And you're going to see a little bit of that. But like I said, the NFL is always experimenting. It's just about getting better athletes on the field. That's it. BK Soldier 2010 says, who do you think is winning the AFC West? The Raiders or the Chiefs? I've said the Chiefs all along. I went with them before the season started. They've done nothing to deter me. I still think that the Chiefs, who have the Raiders number, are going to win this division. But don't sleep on the Denver Broncos. Don't sleep on the Broncos. If they can stay healthy, I'm telling you, Trevor Siemian is a real deal. They can make some noise in that division as well. It's up for grabs, though. I mean, Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs, that's going to be one hell of a battle to see who's going to be able to call themselves AFC West champions. And steel sharpens steel. I said this earlier. Iron sharpens iron. Whoever wins this division is going to be very prepared to take on New England, Pittsburgh, or whomever they got to go through to try to get to the Super Bowl. They're going to be in a great position to do so because this division is going to prepare them for whatever lies in front of them come playoff time. Corey Fitterman says, and those Raiders are going to be tough against the Redskins. Fam, hope we can pull it out. The Raiders are playing lights out football. They absolutely are. I just finished watching this game and looking at some things that the Redskins can exploit against them, but it's not going to be easy. I'm more worried about the defense in this particular game than I am the offense. I think the offense, it is what it is with them, whether we score 24 or 27. If we can't stop the Raiders from scoring 27 or 30, we're probably not going to win this game anyway. So if the defense can't find a way to get Derek Carr and company off the field on third downs and not give up big plays, it's going to be a long day for the Redskins defensively. And this is going to be our best test yet from a defensive standpoint. These Raiders pose so many threats with their receivers. Jared Cook is a really good tight end, a pass-catching tight end. Their backs out of the backfield can create problems. And then Cordero Patterson is a matchup problem in himself. There's a lot of things that the Raiders pose in terms of threats and problems and mismatches for the Redskins. I'm anxious to see how all of these things will play out, but it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Our teams, he said, our teams are meeting next week. Skins versus Raiders is going to be a fun game. Absolutely, man. I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Blackbird Blitz says, hashtag too good for Madden. You need to type, if you appreciate that for letting other people know. Spotty92 says, do you think a balanced Raiders attack can compete with a team like the Pats, Chiefs, or even Denver? Absolutely. If the biggest question for me isn't the Chiefs offensively. The Chiefs offensively, are the Raiders offensively. The Raiders offensively last year were good enough to compete with anybody in the league. It was never about the Raiders offense. It's always been about the Raiders' ability to get stops defensively that worries me. It still worries me right now because I still don't know where this Raiders defense is quite yet because the Titans and the Jets aren't exactly world beaters offensively. Hell, the Redskins aren't world beaters offensively either. So still, this is going to be probably their best test to date, and it's on the road on Sunday night. I expect the Raiders fans to take over FedEx Field, treat it like a home game, and so I'm not looking forward to that aspect of it, but it should be a ton of fun, and absolutely the Raiders can contend with the Pats, Chiefs, and Denver for sure, especially if the defense is improved and it looks like a much better group in 2017. JFT Network says, what do you think about the Jets versus the Dolphins? Who wins? The Dolphins are going to win that football game. As long as they play similar to the way they played versus the Chargers in week 2, they'll be just fine. The Jets don't have enough firepower to beat the Dolphins. And if the Dolphins can run the football, hell, the Raiders just ran all over the Jets. And the Bills did it in week 1 as well to the Jets. Seems like they have a problem stopping the run. The Dolphins want to run the football. They just put up over 150 yards rushing versus the Chargers. Jay Ajayi had a field day. If they can continue to run the football, there's no doubt in my mind the Dolphins should be able to win that football game as long as they don't turn it over and allow the Jets to keep it close. So, in any event, Raiders take care of business in a major way, 45 to 20 over the Jets. Run their record to 2-0 on the season and now have a big showdown with the Redskins on Sunday Night Football. Should be a great contest. Meanwhile, the Jets are 0-2, and I don't see things getting much better for them anytime soon this season. Again, hopefully they're able to beat someone, and it's probably going to be in the division if they do get one this season, but it's not looking too good for Todd Bowles and his group. And the bad part is the offense isn't even the worst part of what they're doing right now. They're just not a good football team on either side of the football. The offense is doing enough to keep them in games. The defense just simply is not stopping anyone, especially on the ground, which is really disappointing because the Jets hang their hat on being a physical team up front. They look vastly different up front with no Damon Harrison, who moved on to the Giants in the offseason last year, and then trading away Sheldon Richardson. This is a totally different front for the Jets. And now teams are finding it increasingly easier to run the football on the Jets. And I don't see the Dolphins having any problems continuing that trend in week number 3. It's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. I'll be back at halftime of the Monday night game to break down San Francisco at Seattle, which was a surprisingly close football game. Really surprised at how close the 49ers were able to keep it. A little worried about the Seahawks at this point because this team is starting to look like a shaky team in the NFC West all of a sudden. At home, they're not scaring the likes of the lowly 49ers, and I know it's family business, but damn, this game was too close for comfort if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan. We'll talk about that and more at halftime. I'll see you then. I'm your man Louie T, signing off. Enjoy the first half of Monday Night Football. We'll be back at halftime for more lockdown coverage. I'll see you then. Have a good one.